feats across the volumes. The first feat here is that the man thing can burn all things, be it animate or inanimate, as long as it knows fear. As you see in the scans, he also burns his wife from her dream into physicality. He is capable of showing Owen Jackson his horror within Jackson's mind, and Jackson feared alongside getting burned by the touch of the man-thing. Man-thing's mind is so devoid that his consciousness burns through every level of creation, and this fire of the man-thing, as stated earlier, burns anything, but here it is explained that at the end of all things, annihilation of worlds and universes, that future exists as premonitions and psyche radios, a signal from the collective unconscious, which will be explained a bit later, moves through all these layers or hierarchies that are dreams called reality. Meaning that the man thing doesn't view reality as reality, but truly all is a dream to his non-mind, and all the collective unconscious, all of creation would burn by that of the man thing's consciousness. It further says, but then the signal fades, the dream passes, and man thing is whole again. It is an exaggeration to say it has a mind, for his conscious is rudimentary and it doesn't even know it exists. It is beyond sex, beyond identity, beyond concept of life and being. Simply, the man thing has no understanding of anything, and he is beyond concepts of thinking, living, dying, and he will just come back unconsciously. Sex, which is gender or could be pleasure, since later on we know he has a wife. Beyond identity, and even abstract beings have at least life via the collective unconscious, has gender. They have gender like death, infinity, eternity, and even oblivion. Humans create these concepts from their unconscious mind, and man-thing is beyond human comprehension to even create his being. And when they see him, not just humans but all levels of creation would burn to non-understanding of the man-thing. The man-thing was able to look into the conscious mind of Ellen, piercing through her, bringing out the memories and feelings that it requires, and for the first time it knows need, demanding a question it can't understand, talk less of ask. And Doctor Strange comes in to help Ellen, and the man-thing, which he says that the man-thing is the key to saving the future, which links to the scan shown earlier. Strange shrinks down with Ellen into her soul, which she thought was that of the man-thing. Strange asks Ellen if she got a full glance at her deliverance. She further asks him about man-thing holding the key to the future of this world. Strange replies, future of all worlds, in correction to her singular statement. He tells her to gaze upon the cauldron of the cosmos, and cauldron is a metal pot with handle and also used to describe situations with strong emotions and instability, which fits the total description here. We see this metal looking thing and also talks about the crack that runs through all beings and things, which is a sign of instability. And this instability has destroyed the nexus of all realities. This is where the man thing was born, and some mystics would call it the omnipoint or the on point, which is all universes, worlds, parallel dimensions, dimensions both platonic, metaphysical, metaphorical, pataphysical, across several transfinite layers or hierarchies of creation, emerge from and return to when creation sleeps. Some people would wonder, what do they mean by emerge from and return to when creation sleeps? Now, who or for those who remember, earlier I did state from the panels themselves that the signal fades and the dream passes and the man thing becomes whole again. After knowing that he views reality yet as a dream, which is beyond all forms of comprehensive figures. Now, these two statements are simply saying that when the man thing sleeps, He is totally non-being, even beyond his being that is incomprehensible. When he sleeps, all of creation comes back to the nexus of all realities, and when he is awake, they exist it, basically ceasing to exist to him. But as we move on, this will become much clearer. Strange further says that the nexus has been shattered across realities, and the man thing has a strange and inexplicable or incomprehensible connection to the nexus of all beings. Only he is capable of repairing it. This is the same Doctor Strange who has fought people like Shumagorath several times, Dormammu several times, Mephisto. He has crossed several infinities, even in the same comic. As you can see here in the scan, he stated that he literally cuts through infinite realities and all of creation, and yet the man thing is incomprehensible to him. That is insane. As the journey for the Nexus fragments, we get to these little tales which are very impressive and important to the scaling, of course. We see this scan that says, I am a vision in the eyes of the cosmic dreamer, wafting like a wraith through God's unconscious. Or is it Satan? Perhaps born, perhaps neither. It is possible I am God, devil, dreamer. It is equally possible that I am insane. How else can I possibly explain that I exist in more than one place, in every place simultaneously? We see this dude who talks about this Corey lady, who would later be revealed to be his ex-wife or his wife because she's dead, and he also wonders that if time and space don't matter, then why should life and death, in which he becomes the devil slayer and wields a dimension spanning shadow cloak. We see this staff, which is older than the one who delivered it, and his name, or is known as Terminus. We see this lady named Sorrow and this demon slayer who steps outside the window of this house strolling across eternity. And they talk about humanity's sorrows and hate. Sorrow tries to show him their sorrows, but his anger shows him only their hate. He wonders to himself if reality is reality, or hallucinations or dreams, which he had done prior to this, as shown not long ago. We see this scan of him fighting demons which are created from his individual nightmares, and the dream creates individual dreams and nightmares, which would be dived in more in my Sleepwalker or Nightmare video later in the future. His nightmare creates his own death as he battles his nightmares in the madhouse at the end of the universe. We see this staff that Ellen holds is meant to help fix the nexus of all realities. The staff starts to glow in internal flames and starts singing, sorry for my bad grammar, to Ellen to calm her down, for the staff was old beyond comprehension, that it was young but resonant or linked to the birth of all things. And its song carried Ellen to the beginning of creation, which is still a dream. In this scan, we see Sorrow stops time, and she helps him to the window, and he gazes at the infinite expanse of the world he walks in, and he says that's the landscape of his own mind, which will be covered up later. Ellen and Manthin come visiting them by passing through the sea of consciousness, and they tell him that he has a fragment of the Nexus, and as Eric pins the demon, Eric Pine, the demon slayer, ripped the man thing apart with the Nexus fragment in him. He was making reality become unreality, channeling the desire to end all things, sucking this town and soon the planet. And we see this Terminus man referred to reality as a dream. Come across Howard the Duck, who isn't new to Marvel and has his fair share of crazy extra-dimensional adventures. We see this man named Mahapralaya, who led a group called the Cult of Entropy, and he is the destroyer of worlds. Basically, this Mahapralaya dude was wanted to get rid of Manthin and was after the Nexus fragments, which he wanted to destroy all of reality because of his sad life. Terminus gave him information on the Nexus, which he was going to take all of reality, the entire multiverse with him. But as Manthin took the fragment, he killed the Pralaya aspect by burning such powerful divinity. As we know, his fire alone can burn all of creation, so no big deal there, as he is kind of a devil as well, which if you read through the scans from the demon from the devil slayer, you would have seen something relativistic. We further see in this Namor scan where it says that the fate of Atlantis of all worlds across infinity depended on the meeting with the Manthin. As Ted talks to Terminus, they have this discussion about true reality or the dream always singing to them to wake them up. But only few like them, Sorrow, Manthin, who can step outside this dream, which is being unbound by all of creation, that will notice this. And Terminus says that our reality is our dream, and the dream of Job is the creation of Elin and the Manthin. As Elin and Manthin journey with Namor, the son of Fen, to the depths of the water of eternity, Manthin, with a touch, dissolved Namor's life-sustaining armor as they journeyed to a place where the Nexus fragment rested within the depths of the ocean, forbidding by man to go there. They can't even go there. And it felt like Manthin, who was the prophet, had become one with the sea, as if the collective unconscious of the sea had fused with his being. They get to the point where dream was made reality, where the fragment to save creation was kept engulfed within the fabrics of Mother's fabric, and she goes by the name Cleito or Cleito. We see this Evinor, who is the guardian of this sacred place beyond time and space, and as Evinor threatens the Manthin responds in a voice that thundered through the minds of Namor, Elin, and Evinor, saying, "We shall see." And we see this panel that talks about the song that alters time and space, or reality molecule by molecule, rolling back time to a time before time, where thought became reality and reality became thought, a shared dream of love. In the inner temple, we see the full being of Cleito, which felt like it was erasing the barriers between self and others, between all beings and things. And they all knelt to her as she spoke to them with her consciousness through their minds, and she says, "She was in all places, she was in all times, she was in all hearts. I look at you and behold every life you have ever lived, and every incarnation yet to become, or yet to come. So is it with the gems that adore my robe. Not a shroud as you see it, son of Fen, not a relic of the past, but as a living thing of love and glory." Before we move, let me explain this. She basically exists as the concept of love, as stated earlier, that the place she dwells is beyond time and space. Not just any time and space, but all of reality, which is a dream, and her dream is reality, as stated earlier. She is omnipresent and views every life Namor has lived and will live, as well as the gems, the fragments on her robe, which makes no difference with the other fragments, meaning she exists beyond Ragnarok, on a scale beyond the iterations, beyond the end of each iteration, beyond the nexus of all realities. Watch my Immortal Hulk and my cast or Cosmic Armor Superman vs. Ronking Thor video to know the brief scaling of the true Yggdrasil. As she praises Namor, she says, "What can a gem or shroud mean when compared to the great love that brought us all forth from the void into the world of forms? In the eyes of the great love, ritual, ceremony, reverence of objects, reverence of gods, all these means nothing." She says that the fragments, the greater Cleito, Poseidon, are all dreams. And this is reference to the divine creator. The divine creator created her as love, but he is the greater love. God who are high out of Russell, Creator who is beyond the iterations and the peak, even the peak of high out of Russell hierarchies, and possibly beyond baseline boundless, the nexus of all realities, as well, which of course, as even Plato, is beyond it. We see this statement of man of lineage and mother of the dreaming of the dreams, which she calls her the one above all, and the ink was tinted on that above all, meaning something, but as we move, we probably might see. We move into this narrative about the falling stars, the song of creation, and Cadmon. So let's go over these as detailed and quickly as possible. We see in this scan which talks about the melody of the song coming from the fragments that power the dying planet and birth life on it. The song is called the Song of Creation, and its divinity would keep spreading as long as the fragment stays there. The sulfur battles the man-thing to protect it, but couldn't keep up while the man-thing held the staff, and sulfur was basically aimed by the fragments which called upon him for its protection while it stayed there. But the man-thing knew what was at stake and wouldn't let any harm or warm-hearted song cause creation to collapse on them in his hands. As Eileen herself knew what to do and pulled the fragment as the sulfur cried silver tears, in pain for lack of protection of the crystal, as he couldn't even fathom the risk of existence. So this dude Cadmon is actually the one within the staff and talks through Manthin, who naturally is the gatekeeper for the Nexus of all realities. Cadmon was able to punch and damage Terminus, who exists beyond dreams and all reality. As Eileen sees her son, she questions about her son only for Job to transcend beyond them, while Cadmon shined the light of creation to negate him, and this light is no ordinary light. This came from a book called the Book of Life. Written in it is history of all things and beings, from creation's beginning and creation's endless end. And the book sang the song of the staff, which could take Eileen to the beginning of creation itself, and she's the source of the staff song, in which she exists beyond all I mentioned, and she's the concept of love, below the true concept of love itself. And sorry, not the song of Eileen, I made a mistake, the song of Clito. My bad. And even Terminus can't dare to describe it. Now, you guys pay attention closely as I read this out and explain what this talks about in short. What we tell you now, the book proclaimed. You may take as myth or allegory, but know that even if every word we speak is a lie, the essence of what we communicate here is the unquestionable truth. So still your hearts now, still your minds, and hear the tale. Once the universe is lived and breathed, afire with passion and rage, holiness and despair, once the races of humankind and all kinds drew themselves up out of the pit, once upon an earth so like this current earth, and yet so utterly unlike it. There was a golden age unimaginable in this glory. But all things die, and so, in the dream of time, died the universe. The Creator grew tired of her creation, his or her creation, and called it back into him or herself. All things and beings collapsed in shards and shadows, and plunged into the sea of nothing from which the everything sprang. And for a timeless time the ocean of creation was dark and still. God slumbered in a deep and dreamless sleep, so deep that the Creator forgot even him or herself. And then, from the depths of the divine unconscious, there came again the inevitable whim, the urge, the desire to know him or herself, and to express in form the essence of all the Creator was, is, ever shall be. But the Creator was all. How, then, to express that all? How then to know him herself? The answer was the answer was the answer. So really weird context. The Creator would dream of darkness and light, love and hate, male and female, life and death. God would dream herself into her dream and play every role, and through the dream which had been dreamed before, which would be dreamed again, God would complete and fulfill him or herself. So the sea of creation began to revolve, the sacred energies whirling as God's thoughts whirled, and from the heart of creation an hand emerged, and in that hand a staff, and from the staff the light, and from the light the dream took form. The falling stars were born, living beings, each one of the embodiments of a divine thought, a divine feeling, each one unique in the role it would play in the drama of creation. The stars took shape and fell from the sky, down through the void, as the stardust from their widening wings sprayed across the heavens. Whole universes arose, planets pushed up like squalling babies from the depths of the cosmic ocean, galaxies carried, dizzy and joyful across forever. And as it was before, as it would always be, one planet played the crucial role. One planet was the heart and soul of God's dream. Each time it was different, each time the same. Born amidst the upheavals of the newborn dream, seas of lava rushed across the face of the earth, and the Creator looked down upon her and hurled the staff into the boiling heart of the new world. From the mind of the staff, the first land formed, and the land birthed the first woman. Her names are the numberless as the religions that still worship her, but we shall call her Cleto, mother of all things, embodiment of the illusions, the urge to be and enfleshed. From Cleto, Lawrence sprang From Cleto sprang the first man, her perfect mate, yet in all ways her opposite. For if Cleto was the illusion itself, giving substance, belief, and acceptance, the man was the only being in all of untold universes who knew that creation was nothing more than dream into dream. For he was dream and dreamer both. He was Cadmon, first man of the lineage. It was Cadmon's duty to maintain the dream. Without him, everything would dissolve, dissipate into mist and shadow, dream stuff and fading memories. Let all others follow Cleto, embracing and exulting in God's majestic illusion, for this was her will. Only the man of lineage would bear the burden of the truth. And the place where Cleto and Cadmon were born, where the staff formed woman's wisdom and man's strength, was the focal point of the dream, where every universe, every parallel and intersecting fancy came together, the nexus of all realities. Down through the ages, the lineage continued, down through the ages. Earth descendants of Cadmon was initiated into the mysteries, accepting his role as keeper of the dream. But as time, the dream of time passed, the men of lineage fell deeper into the illusion. More and more, they began to forget who they were, what they were, their part in the holy play. And it became more difficult for the falling stars, whose role was to guide these men out of sleep, to awaken the sons of Cadmon to their destiny. So at last one man of the lineage turned his face away from the stars, unable to see their glory, unable to see anything but illusions. And that man's action, the book concluded, had dire consequences for all the infinite dreams contained. And that is basically the man thing, Ted Sallis. And as we move on, you'll see. Basically, it talks about the creator who dreamt creation, including herself, himself, or herself, into creation, and will forget within the unconscious dream. And whenever the creator arose, as stated earlier, all of creation would end. Then this creator created life, death, gender, darkness, aka oblivion, and light birthed life, and death basically birthed the abstract entities. And as the sea of creation revolved, it birthed a hand from creation, which birthed a staff, and the staff birthed light, as stated earlier, which birthed the falling stars, which had a divine role in creation. And this planet was born, which played a crucial role. And this planet is most likely Gaia, the mother of Thor. And this planet became the mother and soul of God's dream, and the mother looked upon her and held the staff of creation and birthed everything on earth, which the concept of existence on earth is Cleito, and Cleito birthed her spouse, an opposite known as Cadmon, the first man of lineage, and his duty was to maintain the dream, and the place they birth from is referred to as the Nexus of all realities. And each descendant of Cadmon had to protect the dream, and as the dream of time or dream time, which will be touched up more in my nightmare video, that has to do with the collective unconscious seriously as well. The Nexus of all realities is classified as a place where time has no meaning. It is the walls between now and then, past and future, are all non existent. In here, a quality of unreality reigns here of life as an illusion, an endless ocean of dreams. But the man thing who is Cadmon can fathom the mind of the divine creator, and we also see that in the scan Tetsalis, the man thing, even without the power of Cadmon, who could damage Terminus casually, and Terminus couldn't do anything. This Terminus is beyond dreams of reality, as stated earlier, that he did exist within the early times of creation and is written in the book of life. Tetsalis rejected his role as the dream keeper or as a falling star, meaning he rejected the creator's dream as man thing, which we know his fire alone can burn all things, and he is beyond comprehension that he doesn't even know he exists. No one has done such thing, not even Cadmon. His thoughts are unfathomable like God, and the concept of power is below him as he transcends such. You guys must have watched and enjoyed this video, which talks about a lot of things necessary. And if you are one of them niggas who skip to the end and think you're gonna learn something, then you're just avoiding, you're just deceiving yourself. The Nexus is classified as a place that is not a place but is a place. The point where each random thought, each vast or infinite universe intersect, where time and space, imagination, and dreams collide. Their being is classified as a being that is not a being, as you can see in the scan that says a face that is not a face, which they can merge by simply touching each other. Their relationship is classified as them being one in a way that is beyond the physical universe, and they share union beyond conceptuality or conception. It is stated that for anyone or anything that could harm the ancient father of the fallen stars is a threat to the creation, and possibly the divine creator, meaning that Cadmon is extremely powerful, and if you harm the man of lineages, then you can shout to the Nexus and creation would end, which has been explained earlier. We see this scan which says that Cadmon can lose shape, but his consciousness can never die, as he exists everywhere, even in every stone, fish, tree, and even insects, meaning all forms of life. He exists within the swamp consciousness, and the swamp consciousness is the nexus of all realities. It is also stated that this ancient being named Scrier gets hold if he gets hold of the staff of creation, which the divine creator held when he or she created creation. Scrier can use it to reshape the Nexus across all of existence. We see Scrier standing with his disciple And what he says here is very important for many reasons. He says, just as I change form with a thought, changing you along with me, so every thought, every dream of every creature alive and dead, creature creates universes without limit. In that light and beyond it are the endless realities that permeate space and time, and the Nexus unites them all. But in the heart of the Nexus dwells Cadmon's two guardians. They stand between me and my goal. I have already taken steps to ensure that the male has left the Nexus. Now you will enter the tunnel between worlds. Reach the female guardian and take her place. Do not kill her, but see that she's thrust into another time, another world. And then when you stand alone in the Nexus, my consciousness within yours will guide you, and together we will and weave a skein of reality to my liking, the goal I have walked towards since time's beginning will be reached. We see that Scrier had planned this since beginless beginnings, and he sent Outrider to get rid of Ellen, which is a feat as he's certain even Outrider can kill Ellen, who is the mother of dreams. We see that Manthin's power with that of Cadmon on and all other falling stars are in one, but yet Scrier with the power from the staff of the Creator is great enough to stir Manthin well armed to death and reshape reality with a swipe of his hand. Scrier was there before the birth of creation and the death of it, even existed before time and consciousness, even predates the Nexus and all of reality. The strain of protecting the Nexus alone on Ellen's head made her vulnerable to the point of near death, as Outrider becomes one with the Nexus, but Spider-Man didn't let such, and he became one with Ryder, and the Nexus shattered. And as they battled beyond physical form, as they crossed quantum universes across all realities, without the support of their masters, they both would have been annihilated from existence. Now it's time to do the final scaling. Now I already added a few things, and how about we brief up on Jung's archetypes and collective unconscious, which is what Marvel is built on basically. The collective unconscious isn't just one in Marvel, but is three but infinite, in the sense that Marvel even shown in this comic severally and many more is infinitely large and infinitely transcendent, of course, having boundless realms. The first part of the collective unconscious is that which eternity embodies, which gets as high as inaccessible into high ultraversal within him, and he falls on the immeasurably into high ultraversal tier, as these planes with infinite are infinitely larger realms and are beyond his comprehension, which I have shown and spoken on in literally almost every video. The second one is the Nexus of all realities, which actually is contained also within a higher structure known as the Micran crystal, or they are linked, and that's for another day. Now, Jung's archetypes and collective unconscious, in short, is archetypes are beyond all categories of number, space, time, and space-time, which are all abolished, which relatively means they are beyond the infinite of infinite hierarchies of transfinite, real, imaginary, complex numbers, meaning they are high out of Russell easily, since Marvel is as big as we know it, and every other transcendence is archetypal, and this would be dived in heavily in my future final Marvel cosmology video. Then the collective conscious is just the conscious mind that plays similar roles to the unconscious mind, but the conscious mind deals with inner workings that can create anything unimaginable. The dream time also uses the collective unconscious, the mindscape, and the entirety of the dream dimension. The third main unconscious is the Nexus of all realities, which you all know what it is by now, and the Nexus is a boundless plane above the Neverqueen, Oblivion, Quabala, and Clippos, in which we already know the far shore is within the Tree of Life, the World Tree, or the further known as Yggdrasil. The far shore is one of these realms beyond the iterations and holds possible infinite amounts that has potential to hold such. Gaia existed before even Cleto, possibly, and the man of lineage, Cleto, and her spouse are beyond all realities, and she is the concept of love. And he watches over the dream of the creator, basically above creation, and that's the job of Manthin, even without the power of Cadmon, and still is till today, because Manthin is the nexus of all realities, and he guards it. The man thing prior to such power was already beyond all forms of everything in creation as shown earlier. The Kabbalah uses love as a weapon, and the Creator created love. Even Runking Thor one-shot the Kabbalah and existed beyond the far shore as he became the new eternity, but so infinite that it would take infinite writings per iteration to fill that spot, and yet they won't be on Runking Thor tier. Gaia herself has a purpose for keeping watch of these unconscious minds, which has been shown before post these creation myths as she talks to Thor. This shows just how powerful not just Thor is, but the Asgardians and their enemies. The Norse realm in Marvel is extremely powerful, especially Thor, even in his base form. Talk less of Runking Thor. Man skills beyond conception of all kinds, beyond reason, exist beyond creation of outer and higher universal transcendencies. You will get the rest in my Swamp Thing versus Man Thing video. There are some other feats I didn't even add here, but he did win Cadmon, and naturally, without Cadmon, he is the new guardian of dreams and Nexus. He can burn all of creation, and all of creation is non-existent to him. Mathing is easily boundless and not on a baseline scale. If you found this video informative, please do to like, share, comment, subscribe, and see you all next time. Peace.